Here's my next garage project, 2010 Skidoo MXZ-XRS 800 Rev XP chassis, just like the last one I did. It's going to work well. I like working on these XP chassis. They're kind of easy to work on and parts are readily available and they're a lot of fun to ride when they're done. This unit, it's been sitting for a while. It's probably the best idea with it would have been maybe to tear it all down and salvage it for parts. It's the opposite of a clean unit. It is very rough. It's been sitting for a while. It definitely doesn't run, and it has issues. It's got issues all over the place. It's got engine issues. It doesn't start. Like I said, we're going to check some compression and things like that. When I first pulled it in, it had no coolant in it, so I'm not sure what's going on there. The body's not too bad a shape. The front end's going to need some work. We'll get into that later. So I just started to tear it apart. Took the top off and the seat off and got it in the garage and kind of looking it over. And I think my next step will be to do a compression test and then keep tearing it down. And the motor's going to have to come out and we'll see what we can salvage out of there. Be nice to get away not putting a short block in there if the bottom end's all right. Maybe you can put a cylinder and some new piston and rings in there and get this thing up and running. Like my pull cord handle, it still turns over. That's a plus. It's not totally seized. So it still has some type of engine that rotates. Said we'll put a compression gauge on it just like the last video there, and I'll just see what I got before I tear it down. This was 151 horse back in the day. Carbureted, one of the last carbureted machines, and I find the carbureted machines are getting to be a dying art to keep them running, so that's why I've kind of got an interest in them. Maybe that's all that's wrong, is that air intake there that's ripped. That screen there just needs to be replaced. I pulled the plugs out, and they don't look good either. And I'm just reading them quick here. They look like new plugs, but for some reason, and if you can see it on there, there's like a water or a coolant or something pitted on it. So that's not a good sign. Maybe there's a cracked cylinder or something like that inside there going on. The airbox looks clean on the inside. The outside, not so much. That's been sitting, like I said, this thing's been sitting in the bush somewhere. Basically abandoned for parts. So it's got a bigger lug track, not the best shape. There's a broken lug right there, but definitely still usable. I guess the goal with this machine, like I said, is to get it back to running condition. I think there's value in them. It's more fun. It's more like a little hobby. I know them inside and out. So it's kind of fun to play around with them in the garage, something to do. Like I said, this thing back in the day was a premium trail sled. There I added some water to it. We'll see if it's going to hold while I pull that engine out and kind of play around with it. It had spark. I seen that. I should put the coil back on and double check, but I took the coil off to use on the XRS 600 in the previous video there when I was playing around, but I added coolant to this. It did come out once and then it stayed, so I don't know if I got a hose off or a coolant leak or why I'm seeing this coolant come out. As I pull the clutches off on it there, I think it'll become evident as to what's going on with it. Nice big wide chassis on it. Like I said, this was one of the last few years of the XP and the performance units. It's got oil. There's some oil in it. I think that's BRP oil, so that's a good sign. We'll check the lines again when I pull the engine out. So we've started to pull the exhaust off. It has really high end suspension to it for a production model, but there's some issues with the front shocks bent and whatnot there. So like I said, once we dig into the motor and start to clean the chassis up there, we'll show you a bit of what that looks like. I got a bit of time with this one. I've got that other sled, the 09 XRS, to ride. This one will be just a bit of a project to tinker away with when I'm not doing much. Stay tuned, guys. I'll keep some videos coming on it. Like I said, I don't know why anybody would want to rebuild this other than just for something to do. So thanks, guys, for watching. Please subscribe.